The man with the golden shutter.
Mad, isn't it? It's mad.
Man, it's so nice to have you here. We have known each other for a little while. You did a talk at Doom Gallery, maybe 6, 7
So it's about
years
2017,
ago.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
2017, I'd say 2016, 17, 18.
I took a portrait of you that night as well, I remember, and it was such a good talk, and it was a full house, and it was sort of going into your sort of whole back history and stuff. So it's really nice to sort of reconnect and chat about your new book, Man with the Golden Shutter.
My new book, my first and only book.
First and only book, yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy that you've been in this world for so long, and this is kind of the first one.
Yeah, it maybe is crazy, but then I've had my work, and a lot of the celebrated work I've done over the years has predominantly been really sort of, that hip hop scene and kind of black music and dance related stuff, which is, when I say celebrated, the stuff that's mostly been published. So I've done a lot of record company stuff in the sense of the sort of golden era, and then all the press that was happening around that time. So my photographs have been around, and over the years there've been quite a lot of books that have been
that have featured.
They've included my work. Most recently, I suppose, probably around about 2014, which I've now realised very quickly in book terms, 4 years since a book goes out isn't really that long. But it feels like forever ago that book came out, but people still talk about it. I've never seen it until just recently. But I've got that's the one by DJ Semtex, which is Hip Hop Made Me.
Okay.
Yeah, Hip Hop Raised Me.
Hip Hop Raised Me.
It's a huge, it's ridiculous, 440 odd pages worth of book. It's impossible to look through. I'm still seeing pages I've never seen before.
Yeah.
But I have about 30 pages of work in that.
Okay. Wow.
But then he's done is he's pulled from lots of different photographers.
Okay.
And that was a real max out. And that's always happened. And in magazines you're edited and all that sort of stuff. And you do something for a record company and they kind of decide that's the one they like. And you're like, okay, but there's all these other ones. You're shocked. So, yeah, it's been a long time coming that I didn't have to worry about being edited into someone else's format or even my whole family of photographs being adopted and fostered off to different places. This is the first time and a really important time. But, yeah, it's a long time coming. And it is what it is.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'd like to say when people were shouting at me a few years ago about when you're going to do a book, and I was like, okay, I realised with this level of social networks that anyone can get to you with a simple, and so I had to acknowledge that, and I couldn't ever put the word book in anything I ever said or wrote. Because as soon as you do that, and so even when all these books were started to come out, and whilst I was putting this book together, 2 books came out, and they move them real quick in America. When they make a book in America, they're like ding 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 ding, and suddenly it's out. And I started to say, I'm really proud to have this picture in this book, and I put that word up again, and everyone's like, "When's you've got to do it?" And it came about.
Yeah,
it came about.
So, where does this title come from? Man with the Golden Shutter.
Man with the Golden Shutter title is from my time with Hip Hop Connection, which is and was a very important part of my photographic life and career. They started around about 86, 87 with a couple of issues as a new magazine, which came off the phone line thing. It was a bit of a risk take for the publishers at the time that used to do lots of electronic technology type magazines, a bit like kind of Witch Camera type magazines, that kind of publishing company. And one of the young editors who was, I think, doing a football type magazine, he saw it happening. He just saw this umbrella happening of youth culture movements coming, and they had this little back thing, classified thing, and it was really popular with kids around the country wanting to talk to other kids about hip hop, and that was the Hip Hop Connection. Right. On the connections on the line, phone his number and they play a track and all that stuff. This is really old school. This is pretty much pre-internet. Yeah. And I was already shooting stuff all around and about like a hobbyist, like I am. And I had a great collection of photographs. I was one of the hip hop movement at the time, and heard about the magazine, went down there and showed them my work. And very quickly, they gave me a 2-page spread at the beginning. Like, it was a bit like a Hello Magazine, who's who was what's happening at parties and gigs. And they gave me that title, The Crucial Shots from the Man with the Golden Shutter.
Oh, okay.
It was actually Crucial Shots, Man with the Golden Shutter, and in the middle, Normski on the lens. Great little graphic,
oh my God,
which I nearly put in the book.
Okay.
And when I remember I had another name for my book, and Whole Different Concept, which is another book totally. But when I talked with editor Andrew Whitaker and the publisher at ACC Art Books, whom have been brilliant because I've been able to present my art in a photographic format, absolutely. And they completely understood that. But when I mentioned that in one meeting we're having, I mentioned, oh yeah, and also I pulled this little logo out. That was just a little logo from another magazine, and they had a magazine going, and it was like Man with a Golden Shutter, and both of them poked up, and I poked up a little bit, and they're like, that's a really good name. I goes, yeah, it was kind of cool. I had a 2-page section, and then James went, no, that is a head turner.
Yeah,
that is a great name, and immediately it suddenly was a name. It wasn't a title of my featuring him was. So, and it is me, isn't it? It was like the sniper, you know, the undercover agent, 00 Normski, running around catching everything that moves.
It's a great title, and I mean, I'm just first sort of seeing this book. It came out. When was the official release?
September 2023. Really.
Okay,
yeah, I think it was September.
You did a launch at Photographers Gallery.
We were really lucky because in that first week, it was about to come out. Photographers Gallery, who have got a relationship with the publishers already because they do this level of books and have had other things happen. And obviously, when you've got stuff happening, you're always going to be putting your feelers out. I was, for me personally, I used to go to Photographers Gallery when I was a teenager with my mate Zach Ove, and we used to go there and look and be inspired. You know, we'd go to galleries, we'd go to exhibitions, anything. We'd be in and out of that flipping bookshop, looking at books, looking at postcards. One day we're going to get postcards in this shop.
Oh, man.
When they said, when I'd heard from the publisher, they said, listen, there's an opportunity, we might be able to get a date. And I said, where? And there's a Photographers Gallery. I literally went, well, there's no might involved with doing that.
Yes.
You know, and it was lucky. And so we did do I felt it was more like a soft launch because I couldn't really gather up and make this huge event, which I kind of didn't want to.
Okay.
But for me personally, launching my book, at the beginning being the Photographers Gallery, put my book where I wanted it to be seen. I didn't want it to be some big party in some club because it's all quite hip-hoppy and musicy and everyone was going to come on this big, you know, bougie night kind of thing. I really wanted it to come out as a heavyweight, hard
photo book,
highly respectable photographic environment. Sorry, it really doesn't get much more respectable in London anyway, than the Photographers Gallery.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's definitely somewhere that I think a lot of photographers inspire to be at that, and exactly what you're saying. Get a book in that bookshop is, you know, a big tick on a lot of people's lists.
I mean, obviously, I love the fact that my book's on sale in Phonica Records, which is a very cool shop. I love the fact that a lot of cool places are bringing books in and having some records or music. I kind of like that as well. So I'm not fast, but I'm getting some really big accolades from a lot of places. When I sort of got into photography as a hobbyist in the 80s, I was very into high quality stuff. Wasn't much internet. So when I say high quality, I'd look at, Sunday Times magazine, really looking at Don McCullum stuff, the heavyweight photography. I used to look at National Geographic.
I mean, those covers of those
covers
newspaper weekly sort of things were just...
Mate, every time Observer magazine, I still haven't actually had my work in that.
And photographers were given time to really put a story together.
Photojournalism is the key. It was what I saw a lot of, and record sleeves, I'm talking record sleeves here, that's one that I shot that shot of Chuck D and Flavor Flav Public Enemy up in Manchester, and it was, the shot was a shot, just for a magazine interview that they were doing for Hip Hop Connection. But later on, I got a contact from Columbia Records, which was Def Jam at the time in the UK, and they said, look, we're putting out a single, and we know you've got some shots of Public Enemy. We're doing the UK sleeve because they always come to a slightly different sleeve. So do you want to send them over and we'll see if there's any good ones? I was, yeah, of course I was. So I never kind of thought any of my pictures would necessarily, when I shot them, I didn't think that's what would happen. And, it made sense because I was like, I used to love record covers. We'd sit there and look at record covers while we were listening to records and read, it's a little bit different now with downloads. You kind of just put the music.
I guess even for me, I guess I probably wasn't I guess my big time was CDs really, but even being able to
But
take
even
that
the
thing
CD
and pull
package,
everything
oh,
apart,
come on, that's a big deal.
read all the lyrics, you know, all that
and
sort
also
of
they
stuff.
have the little
So
booklet
important.
inside.
Yeah.
As a photographer, you just want your pictures printed on stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it's in a mag, a newspaper, get a record sleeve if you like it, in a sleeve. You know, some people got real funky and start getting the photographs on like a, you know, the vinyl when they started doing photo vinyls, you know.
Yeah.
Posters, Gordon Bennett, there's nothing like walking down the road and seeing your picture promoting whatever as a big. I mean, most of the times I've done exhibitions, the prints I've had done quite big. I've never seen my print that big.
Yeah.
You know, I just love it when and I'm really sorry when I have to sell them because I want to keep them. You know.
So with this book,
Yeah.
I think you were coming to the CAF quite a lot actually before, with the build up to kind of this. What was when you first sort of were building this concept together? Were you thinking, I'm going to self-publish this? Were you like, I really want to find a publisher? Were there publishers that you were like on your radar, or how did that sort of build up?
One of the reasons why it took so long was because many years ago, I had a concept for a book, and maybe it was a little bit too much for anyone to handle because it was a lot of pictures across a really broad spectrum, and so I got misunderstood when I went to some publishers that didn't quite get it.
Okay.
Maybe at that time I was more known for the work I'd done in television.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, what? You take pictures? So I just kind of didn't do that. And I always thought I wanted to do a book like how I'd seen books done, which is you'd get a publishing deal, or a publisher would do it because then they would publish it to the highest quality, or it'd be a really good book. That's what I saw it. And we've lived through this age of self-publishing and or, you know, crowdfunding and stuff like that. And I just thought, hang on a second, already that sounds really difficult for me.
Yeah.
Number one is that I've been crowdfunding my whole life. In other words, bits and pieces there contributing to whatever. The idea of it coming back is that my book still, or is it a load of people's books? That didn't feel comfortable.
Okay.
But also, ultimately, because everyone was doing that, and I thought, well, no, I'm not doing that. I'm before this crowdfunding time. I'm getting a publisher.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it's going to be any big money deal. My main thing was I just wanted someone who could spend loads of money to make it look the bollocks. You know, and that's why it took a long time, because John Swinstead at Museum of Youth Culture, whom was also involved at the time when we first kind of met with the Doom thing.
Yeah. We've got
you know,
zine
the darker shades of white.
Yeah.
Night talk, which was the talk we talked about, was he was the one who said, look, Norm, and he's known me for like well over 10 years. And he said, Norm, I think I might have found a publisher that could be really good for your book. Because when I had thought about it, I knew what I wanted to do. I had already designed the book. I'd already started drawing. I didn't bring my notepads with me today, but I do sketch and, you know, I do storyboard.
Do you make like a dummy?
No, I nearly did.
No, nearly
but
did?
I just, because it was going to be, we did actually print out every page.
Yeah.
Well, it's 272 pages.
It's a beast.
It was a lot more than that. And I just thought I was going to try and do a miniature version.
Right.
So what we did was that I had all of the work already. I then rescanned more stuff. Then I went into my archive and spent nearly a year from COVID pulling all my stuff back.
Okay.
From various agencies, contacted people. Andy Cowan, who was the editor for nearly 20 years, but not the whole time, of the Hip Hop Connection. I got in contact with him. I said, I'm doing this book. I'm just wondering if you might have, you know, we're talking about stuff from the 1980s, and I'm asking him if he
still had like necks.
Well, you know, when you were starting out and you dropped stuff off, you didn't realise you were meant to get it back. Yeah. Sometimes the one they used, you never got that back.
Yeah.
Somehow that would get lost with the designer, and, you know, you'd be so happy you got 200 quid for it, and you'd have a record sleeve, and you'd have all these other shots. But I've got loads of neg sheets where there's a square missing, and I might have mounted that because that was the hero shot.
Yeah.
There's lots of things about losing stuff and having fires and things melting that we won't go into. So it's been a long journey. You know, some of these photographs, like, you know, 1990. So where are we now? 2024.
Yeah.
You know,
and something like this is like a scan print.
This is the kind of thing I like doing. You know, you pulled in on this because the photography book is very important. It's very, very important for me. It's a photographer's book by a photographer for people that appreciate photography. And this is a perfect example of where I've done a photograph on colour slide and then I've done a Xerox print.
Nice. All
And
right.
what I've done is I've said I'm sticking with it, and I'm going to run the Xerox print. Now this wasn't a scan from a Xerox print, because what I actually had was a colour shot of that print, so it's very fadey. And there's a lot of that in here where I would do things. And I had done all this crazy stuff. There's stuff I'm just going to jump the gun because I'm talking about the Xerox stuff now. There's a lot of crazy stuff I would do as a guy who was well into darkroom work. For example, here's my 6 out of the dark room, so these little sections, and I would do stuff. That's a great black and white shot that you see previously in the book. But this is me playing with the Xerox machine.
Right.
Back in the day, there was a local place down where I lived in Camden, and they used to let me come in because I couldn't afford colour.
Okay.
So what I would do is I would do things like I would paint a black and white photograph.
Right.
And that is a painting of a black and white photograph. Wow. I've just what we call recolour touched it. I've got Humbrol paint from Airfix Models. I've got highlighting, fluorescent ink there, and I've got old Victorian or 60s flesh and ink photographic inks.
This is stunning, man.
And I've gone with my my as if I'm doing some kind of kitchen marble effect, but I'm using my finger, and I'm not a really great artist, and I've just touched up a black and white shot. Yeah. And then what I've done with the shot is that I've then run that into the Xerox to punch up the colours, because I'm thinking, I'm going to make it into a Batman superhero type vibe, hijack crew, hardcore from South London, and stuff like that, cutting out, but on Photoshop, trying to make it as rough as possible, not trying to, I'm that guy who gets a black and white print, makes it in the darkroom, 10 by 8, of this incredible hardcore DJ rap jungle rapper, one of the DJ for the jungle scene, DJ rap, who's a brilliant DJ, and also a beautiful lady, but she was very tomboy-y. So I do a shoot with her, and I say, how about we flip it and you put on your favourite outfit you ever want to go out in. Okay. So I'm trying to get the lady out of her. Yeah. I get this incredible shot, and it's like a Vogue fashion shot. She's looking in the mirror, tucking in her high heels. Yeah. I get home and I look at it and I think, this is something not right about this. Yeah. She's jungle. So what do? I think, well, lighter and get on the atmosphere. So I go to the jungle night, I come back, I'm a little bit punch drunk, and I look at the print and I actually hate it, so I just burn it. Wow. Start to set it alight, and then it's going crazy. And I've drunk half a bottle of wine, so I've thrown the wine over it to try and put it out. And there's flakes everywhere and stuff, and then it starts to curl up a bit. So I then put it in the oven to dry it off quickly, and then flatten it out. And then I've got this crusty old bit of print, and I'm like, I love it now. And now it's more like a jungle, it's more rough and ready. Yeah. Took that print, put that on the Xerox, photocopied that, and then I scanned the Xerox and put that in the book.
Man, that's so nice to have all those layers, because, it's
Well, no, that's a straight up transparency color slides, proper scan. But I love the aesthetic and the difference,
the playfulness,
and
it's
very important. So you asked me a question about did I know what I wanted to do with the book? What I wanted to do was I wanted to represent the exact time that all these photographs were taken in the way that they were reproduced. Okay. So everything I did as honestly as I could as possible with regards to the print being the actual print I printed in 19 whenever, the actual artwork I did, or the feel. There was no overall grading. I haven't gone in there and got loads of black and white prints, all new ones done. I didn't want anything new done. I wanted it to actually be the original feel of the time. And then there were other things like the black and white balance, because I've got this whole thing with the yin and yang and feng shui, and space and light, which is photographic light and space. So if you ever
did that come quite naturally? The balance?
No. I have to. Yeah, but no. I mean, that's where the team comes in, doesn't it? Because Mariona, who was the designer on it, she is a very good designer. Again, recommended and worked on other books with the publishers before. In fact, they actually said, we think we've got the right designer for you. Okay. So I'm standing here now thinking, well, here's a company that's been going since the year I was born. So they're not new in the game. They've done some pretty epic books. So they're suggesting with the book that they're going to invest into that they've got someone for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, this is my first time I've ever done this. I'm trusting you because I've got a good feeling about you. Plus, I was born in the magical year of 66. And they're like, oh, that's when we were established. And I'm like, well, right, so we're coming from the same place. So I'm going to take it on board, Mariona. So when did we meet her? Because, well, we're going to do a Zoom with her. Because she's based in Miami. I never met her in the flesh like we are right now. Okay. But what we did was we did things like over a period of 3 hours, or maybe 4 hours, give or take the fact that she went off for 2 hours and then came back and sent me a little note in the middle of the night, and I'm sitting there waiting for the note to come in because I can't wait to go, oh, I love it, or I'm not sure about that, and send it back.
Yeah.
But that's where the balance really came.
Okay.
It was really with Andrew Whittaker, who was overall editor, and definitely Mariona, because she took on board what I said about, I want black pages. And when we black, I said to that publisher, I want black pages, which it turns out to be the most expensive thing, because to print black onto the page is a lot of ink. And I said, well, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I want that proper black. And I want the balance to be like black page, white page, 2 black pages, 2 white pages. I want it to go opposites attract kind of thing, you know, yin and yang all the time. A lot of my photographs quite contrasty, and then I learned a lot about space, where I was going to cram out every page with stuff. And I remember Mariana saying, you've got a choice. You can either make a hardback magazine, or you can make a hardback high quality photographic book. And immediately I just dropped the idea of trying to put 700 pictures in it and just pulled it back, because I really wanted to give these images, Derek B. That's like one of my first prints I ever did, 1980s, like in the darkroom on really old black and white line paper. And that was actually photographed on black and white Polaroid, 35mm Polaroid film, the most delicate film you'd never want to use, because if you ever took a little machine, you'd take it like normal 35mm, but then you'd have a little processor where you'd have to wind it through, and it would wind out of the cartridge, and it would go through this little chemical thing, and then it would come back over this end. You know, oh my God, and the smallest little thing would scratch it. And I got lucky with that one. And again, you know, there's black and white slide that was used on the back of the record sleeve. But for me personally, I was just in the darkroom. I was just doing stuff in the darkroom. So the book things all and the record companies will come afterwards. But I was experimenting a lot.
Yeah. It does have a really nice flow to it. I think having that, I mean, it's great that you've got all those bits of like, I know you had to like hunt and find stuff down, but like adding all those, like being able to see the edge of the print and really feel like it's something against these big, full page. It's so complimentary as you move through the book. I think it has a really lovely flow.
I personally, I mean, say for example, that particular page, right? Yeah. So we don't have a picture here, right? We don't have a picture here. We have this is a set place. Mariana has a set thing, balance thing. And I'm like, we've got to put pictures in space. She's going, no, don't do that. So I said, we've got to do it. I have to do it. Because this is not, I can't get enough of this guy. He's like one of you. It's like, well, the thing is you have to pick the best picture of each artist and try and represent them in the best picture. I'm like, that makes sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that this is really important, because this is when he's first starting up and he's all naive and he's wearing my jacket in the shoot. Yeah. And this is when he's a big man who's got a Porsche. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we need that contrast in the character. Yeah. But at the same time, there are ways of presenting it. And she showed me. And we had this whole thing about this becoming a new shape that I helped change around. But it was only because Mariana showed me the power of space. And I mean, I could rock across and we'll see it happen. This is an example. This is an example of your straightforward page, which I said, I'm having that because I've got pictures that work together like that. I don't want all this white page, basic,
continuous
stuff.
Going through the whole
but
thing.
We're going to work with that. And there's this 3/4 page balancing thing that I do understand, even in composition, etc., which in design. So I think when I shoot and I think in design, so we do a strip that's not the whole strip, and you try and weigh it up, because they're the other shots of the individual shots, and this is the group shot. And you just get these different spaces, so you get the white. And, you know, there's no need. And that she showed me about when you have nothing in the space, it gives more to where you have the image. So that's now emphasizing this great shot. Too many pictures and your eyes are going left, right, and center. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. And when someone who's a designer gives you 2 or 3 examples and you look at it and you think, fuck, I get it. Yeah. I get it. But
it gives stuff, it's space to breathe, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. But that was the other thing as well. She's like, Norm, you have like bang after bang after bang after bang. People are going to struggle with watching this book, you know. I'm like, well, you know, you have to break it up. That's why we have the space. So I was like, okay, we have some space. Yeah. You know, we have a little bit of space. But stuff like that, which is, you know, a black and white shot. It's actually another black and white Polaroid. And I insist on a black page. So we get a black page, complete heart. And also, do you feel that? This is like this PVC covered stuff. Okay. It's like coated, not PVC, but it's coated. It's plastic, but yet the white pages are dry. Yeah. Oh, right. So when you're turning it, the feel of the book. But the other thing is I was shown is that, so here's the double pages. This is what I call a double black.
Okay.
So it's a full page, solid. So what I was going to say about that though is that she then designs it with a little key line.
Mm.
She puts the key line in. You know, I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have done that. But she did that because she knew I wanted, and she was on that. And I have to give it to Marianne and the team. So there was a point when I said, no, there's not enough black pages.
Right.
Because I had this whole thing about the image coming out of the dark.
Okay.
I've had this whole thing because I started in a dark room, and I'd go into the dark room and I'd put a blank piece of white paper into the, you know, and I'd do a contact print, wouldn't I? And it would start turning black.
Mm.
And then in it was all these little miniature images. And then I'd print and I'd put a bit of white paper in, and wherever I put detail, it would come up on the paper. That blew my mind.
So that blackness has really been there from day one.
Well, because if I go to a gig, until they put the spotlights on, there's nothing to be seen.
Yeah.
So you don't put darkness into light, you put light onto darkness. So everything to me is dark. Everything's black until it's seen. It's invisible because you can't see anything. And whoa. And I felt that was that's again, my love of black and white, and its effect, the monotoneness of life. Because, you know, you simply can just close your eyes and it goes dark for a second, you open and it goes light. And I think that's look at that balance. You see, that could have gone anywhere, but mostly that way because you didn't want to cut the character in half.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a lovely just a little lean. You know, I think maybe even makes you go, and then, you know, look at where your hand's set, the way you're.
Yeah, it's
all these things. I would never have thought that. Like, you see, but Marianne was like, "Oh no, watch this."
yeah.
You know,
it's so good.
And just you know, I'm really pleased because again, these photographs would never. It's hardly ever been reproduced on book quality before, and I felt it was really important to give them the biggest celebration and see, you know, hardcore. That shot, you know, 1600 ASA for Kodak's Tri-X pan, you know, under the light, live at Brixton, you know, it's never been printed before. So I'm gonna go full page spread on that sucker. You know, this kind of thing here. It was all about the photography, and the other thing I'm gonna say, Marianne's name once more, is because she's also a photographer and a designer.
Okay.
She came with a photographic eye, which is perfect for me.
Definitely.
So there was never any arguing. There was always, mate, she nearly did the whole book. I was like, oh, that's just an idea of how it could look. I went, well, pull back.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. And then we spent months switching it around. So what's your idea? What do you do? So I kind of, obviously where I started, kind of chronological a bit, some old school stuff, you know, and how it was kind of scene change. Let me just get some ice and some crews, you know, the live stuff. And then the kind of culture, which is that kind of art and fashiony stuff, book done.
So you wanted to do that rather than work in sort of any sort of chronological sense, really, with this?
Yeah.
Was it more to have those chapters?
It's like a diary. It was really a diary of this time of my life. And the chapters, I minimised the amount of chapters because I didn't want it to try and break it up because it wasn't categorised. It's a time thing for me. So, you know, I get the feeling, and then stuff jumps backwards and forwards of the dates and stuff, but I just wanted to get that feeling of the build-up of me being an amateur photographer, and everything being an amateur scene. You know, the early stuff is like really early in the hip-hop and the street stuff, and you know, and then you start getting big names from America. They weren't here at first. There's a little bit of throwback to the reggae, with you know, Smiley Culture and Aswad and people like that. Saxon Sound in the beginning. It's all very black and white. There's a few hot colour shots in that. And then it just shows you, you know, over 30 years worth of my life, of work, which really spans within a 10-year period, really, 85 to 95.
Okay. Were there any books that you were looking at going into this that were inspiring you?
Yeah, there were. No, there were loads of books that made me say, that's it, I'm done. And I just stopped looking at them.
Okay.
And then what happens is you stop looking at them, and so some of my cover ideas that I initially had, very quickly we were all drawn to go, you didn't even realise that looks just like someone else's cover.
Right, okay.
And I was like, was I trying to do a better version of that cover?
Right.
So I went into that thing where I just stopped looking at anyone's books and just tried to just look at my photos for a change.
Yeah.
Just for once. It's very difficult to do because I spent all my life looking at everyone else's books. Even today as I've come in here, I came in with someone else's book. Started looking at a complete different book, nothing to do with mine at all, because I love books and I love to look at stuff. But I was coming in here, you mentioned it, as part of my work process is that Museum of Youth Culture backed me big time in the sense of They wanted to help me get the greatest book I could out. I've got a lot of my work in their archives.
Yeah.
So they invited me in to have some space when they were based in Printworks. They had an office and a nice big sort of studio space there. And so there was a desk I could use. So that was where it really happened. I came in, I got all my old prints. I mean, I literally had all the prints from the 80s and 90s or whatever. And I just pinned them up on the wall. And I had this wonderful magnetic wall.
Yeah.
And I just put it all up on the wall.
And then, how you were constructing layout? Or
no,
was that
just,
really just to
see what I had.
What you had, yeah.
And it was only half of what I had was on the wall. And then I just went mad scanning. And we did that for a couple of months. And then I had to move office. And so then we didn't have an office to go to. So then we had to go, okay, right. So I took all the books I could and just went back onto the laptop, went home and started doing scanning at home and digging out more and started writing, contacting people for testimonials. And I wanted it to be like real stories from not necessarily the biggest name stars, just to get a feeling of what was going on around the time when I was shooting this stuff. Going
into a book like this, I guess it's interesting for people listening as well. Do you have to think about the people in the pictures? Do you have to contact the musicians? Do you have to people on big record labels? How do you go into that?
Yeah, that was a really interesting thing because the only person who had a bit of a complaint so far was a young lady who's not as young now, obviously. She's a lovely lady, but I think she was a bit shocked. And the book wasn't printed yet.
Okay.
It wasn't out. Well, it was printed, but it wasn't out. And I did a quick flick like that. I went like that, I think, a flick filming it.
Yeah. So she saw it.
Mate, I don't know how. This thing is so fast. She's a lovely lady. Nothing against her. That's her there.
Okay.
It's the last picture of the book.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the last picture of the book. You've had, like, my life. Oh, yeah, talking about the art stuff. There's some great stuff in here. You've had my life. Def Jam in New York, all the crew stuff. You know, this is like, it's a big, big pictures. There's a lot of book here. Let's just do this, yeah? It's all this. Not when does it start? When does it start? Anyway, so my last celebratory shot was the Junglist Sisters, which is right in the prime time of Jungle, which is where I stopped really shooting. The book stops in there because I don't go too far past the 90s.
Okay.
And I was really happy about that. There's not enough female contingency within the book. I thought this is a great end shot. It's just a hot shot. It's great. It's everything. That's the hot, sweaty vibe the book's got going on. She's like, hey, you should have really asked my permission to have used the picture. I'm like, damn, it was like it's my first book. I did reach out to a load of people. Then I thought to myself, am I going to reach out to every single person in the background of every single photograph? I don't even know who they are. So that's the kind of thing you have to say. I'm doing reportage, photojournalism. Hopefully it's not unflattering and you've got something hanging out and it's, and I get that. And I personally go out of my way not to have any photographs that could be insulting to anybody in any way whatsoever because I'm celebrating time and culture.
But with the actual artist,
so the artists again, the majority of them have like, my God, thank you for including me in your book. But I should have done that for clearances apparently.
Okay.
I felt that because of the nature of my good self and the fact that the culture needed to be captured and documented and celebrated at the highest possible level, that most of these people, God rest them, those who are maybe not with us any longer, would be thankful that I did it. And I'll be honest with you, I've had people left, right and centre coming out of the woodwork saying, my God, I can't believe I'm in your book. Thank you so much. So that's
so nice.
But it's a little bit how it changed because there was a time when, you could just take pictures of people being, having been run over to censors of newspapers or just taking pictures of real stuff at marches or some streaker running across a football pitch or whatever. Now you actually have to get, a release form, which does take away the element of, I would say, surprise or paparazzi.
Yeah.
And stuff makes things a little bit like once they know that you're taking a photograph, you lose that thing that I've always liked, which is to capture it as it happens. And then if not even as it happens, be in a circumstance or situation with the camera and ready for something when it happens. So you're so part of it and people know you're there to take pictures, but eventually, because you don't take any pictures because you're just there part of it, they forget you got a camera, then bam, 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 bam. But that's how I've worked, is it's not by being a photographer, it's by being someone who's enthusiastic about where I am and what can I do. At that time, what I could do is I could be around it and be a good energy around it and capture moments. LL Cool J in the middle of a club wearing ski goggles. I'm not going to say anything, but come on, bruv. But at the end of the day, I was like, yo, let me get a shot. And he's like, yeah, damn right. Yeah, not by the way, don't use it in the future for anything.
Yeah,
He's just put a
yeah.
book out and actually got a picture of Roxanne Shante from my archive for his book.
Okay.
So I
So some
think
give and take.
I think that within society and particularly my culture and our culture, we really do need each other. And coming from a magazine editorial point of view, which is something that I think a lot of us were really built up on, was you need to know what was going on out there, and this is what was going on, and yeah, I'm really, really, really pleased. But like I say, after I in process of making it, then the Museum of Youth Culture got a new office in Vauxhall.
Okay.
So kind of the same size, maybe a little bit bigger, but now I've got John's now giving me his desk. So now I've got a full corner and I can spread stuff out. And then we start putting the book together. Editor comes down, I meet him for the first time, and they're like, and I show them what words I've got, and they can't believe it. How have you done? Nobody's done this much stuff. I've been ready for 20 years for this book. I've got a whole book. I've probably got about 100 pages of just words that aren't in that.
Right.
But then I was like, I'm not writing my biography here. I want to accompany the pictures with some information.
Yes.
But I also I come from a time when your brain made up your own mind. Having to tell everyone everything, having labels on everything. I like it when I see a photography book and it's just pictures. I love it. I'm just looking at the pictures and dreaming.
Yeah.
Once I start reading stuff and my brain starts calculating, going, was that 89 or 99? Has he got the right date on that? And he's like, it doesn't matter what the date is. And people get lost in the information. Information overload. So there's a time and a place. These are record sleeves. It's quite apparent they're record sleeves to me. But someone says, you should put record sleeves on there. I go, where was I going to write record sleeves on
Oh, no, I think you know that.
Come on.
As soon as you open it.
And then you get now people going, oh my God, that's my record. And I'm like, wow. And I've got a few more I couldn't fit on there. That was another thing. We were kind of running out of pages. I was panicking a bit.
What was your was there like a set constraint in terms of that kind of thing?
272 pages. I found out Mariona wanted to do 240 something.
Okay.
I think she said that's the perfect number.
Right.
Anything beyond 272, maybe 300, it becomes a cumbersome amount of pages.
And is that using that sort of idea of that number is for stuff that's really kind of autobiographical, kind of historical?
Yeah, I think essay books is maybe a way of looking at it, because
right.
But I'm just thinking that the 446 page book, it's a brick. This is heavy. This is not a lightweight book. It's heavy in weight. But then also as a coffee table book, how far are you going to get through it before you get bored? There are thicknesses of books where some of them get consumed really well.
Yeah.
Some people just don't seem to get past page 250. Then they get to the rest and flat through it. So there's this kind of thing. I wanted it to be 300 pages. I wanted it 300 pages. I could have crammed all this other stuff into it. It wasn't. It's 272. That was the limit on the kind of book we were printing.
I think it has such a good amount of information, and I think it doesn't feel.
No, I got it back, mate. I got it back, and I sit here thinking, what was I thinking?
What's it like going through now, just slowly sort of going through? Is there anything that you're seeing that you were like, are you just loving it more?
I love it more. I love it more. No, I love it more. I love it more. Because when I get to share it with other people. So like now, as we look through it, this is another little touch. That,
I love this. Yeah.
See, I have some prints that I showed the publisher in the beginning. Some other work I'd done. Again, it was another show I did years ago where I did a spot gloss print on a semi-matte paper.
Okay.
And I showed him that, and he goes, "Oh, that's lovely. That. This is what I love about James. You go, no, that's lovely. That. Yeah. That's like what we call that spot. He's got a whole thing, rubberized with a spot gloss thing." And I was like, "Yeah, I did that with these rings, and it was really." He goes, "Yeah, you could probably do that." And I went, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, well, that seems really expensive to do, but it's something you could probably have in there." And I was like, "Right, okay," because all these mad ideas I had, and he was working out, "Yeah, you can do that." Oh, yeah, well, black pages, there's definitely no way you're going to go more than 272 of his black pages, because the actual production cost of something like that is like ridiculous already. Yeah. And I'm like, right, okay, well, just going to have to be ridiculous then, isn't it? I just got to be whatever it is. And then he's like, no, okay. Then they showed me what we could be. And then, and when that came back, I was like, well, why don't we have a picture on this hard sleeve? And he's like, well, you know, you have the outer sleeve, but I thought, you know what? I'm just going to leave you to it because you obviously know it's best. And I saw the artwork, I saw what was going down. When it came back, for those people that don't want the outer sleeve, and I saw this with this matte black on black print with me and my black chalk, goes into the first rig of black paper. Oh my God, my name on black. To a double black, first hip hop photograph I ever took in my entire life, Covent Garden, when it was like 19, God knows when, with the little B-boys there doing their little busking for a few shillings or whatever. You know what I mean? And my Polaroids.
Yeah.
On black, on all this black stuff. I couldn't even get past that. It took me 2 weeks to get past that bit. And you asked me whether I like it or not. It's taken me 3 months to realise what people are telling me.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. It's amazing. I never could have dreamt of it coming back this well. I know it's better because would have been happy with the thin, normal book paper that everyone has. I would have been happy with that paper, that gloss, semi-gloss paper that you get in every book. I came back with premium.
Yeah.
Now, this is different, about 5 different papers. That one, and then the print gets in with the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And the heavy stuff again, you can feel it. Now, that's the print there. That's with the scan, you can see the crack of the fibre-based print. The crack there, the fibre-based crack. One of my favourites, I used to use Agfa Record Rapid paper.
Okay.
This is for the photographers, this bit. And I used to love the warm tone it gave back. So everything had to be on a full colour print. Every black and white pictures, everything. I don't care what it is, it's all going full colour print. And they recognise that with the pictures, so you're getting the tones. There are so many alternating.
Such a good shot, that one. Stockwell Skate Park.
You know it is, but you know the trick of that one as well. And everyone's like, how'd you get them so... They're like mountainous. I went, it's simple. They're on a really low hill, and it's actually that way. But then what you do is you do your perspective tilt of your camera, and you go down low. You grow like a mountain. Now it's great stuff. I do love photography, and I do love talking about it because it's a practical thing for me, photography. And this book has made my pictures, you know, real, physical. As I say in it somewhere, you know, my photographs I took at the time, then I have this virtual moment of, are they going to come out? Process the film. Please make the negatives be decent. And those moments I process films and there's nothing on them. Completely thin, unprintable. It never happened again. You know, I studied my game and make sure they were slightly overdeveloped. Not too much to make sure you got image. But, you know, I would go in big time. This is the paper I'm talking about. How do they do that? Yeah, because the print, it's such Belgium, printed in Belgium.
Did you go on press?
Huh?
Did you go to Belgium like on press?
I really wanted to, but guess what? You want to talk about the process? Yeah, we had 272 pages, and also we had a deadline. Okay. To make it, get it up to the printer because there's a queuing. You know, there are other companies and people that there are a lot of books being printed by these printers.
So they had to hit it out.
They had their date in the diary, and they could not miss that. And so we sent it all out the day of the deadline. They got it all, but they had gotten a lot of stuff before, and I was still sending notes. It was a process and a half getting this book together. And like you say, then I would do things like, because I couldn't work at home anymore or think straight, I would do, and I had to get out of the office sometimes, and I had to involve myself with the human race and to make sure I wasn't completely isolated from everyone, which I was for a very long time. I was in the 80s for months, and I'd pop my head out of my bubble, and I was like, where the hell am I? Get back in the bubble. But I would come into your place up here.
Yeah, you would come to the cafe.
And funnily enough, now and again, I did look at books, just whilst I was in the process of thinking about how is my book going to all come out. But in a way, the photographs that I've taken, my work of this particular style of work, has dictated the way the books come out. I made the book around the photographs. I didn't sort of make, you know what I mean? I didn't make the photographs with the intention of making a book, but with what I had, it showed me how the book needs to look. Does that make sense? Yeah,
definitely. And I think also because when you would a lot of this time you were taking this, especially when you started doing more stuff like magazines and records, you kind of had you had the idea of print in mind.
Oh, absolutely.
So I also think there's such a skill. It's beautifully presented, but there's also a skill as a photographer to think about. It's like the double page spread.
Yeah.
If you can take a picture because you know that it's got to be a good double page spread, then.
And do you know how many times some of the pictures in here that aren't double page spreads were made really small?
Yeah.
But that was the picture in the mag,
Yeah.
and I was all right with that. But it was my turn to edit and remix these photographs and re-present them the way they should have been seen.
Yeah.
And things like that as well. Oh no, but it's really difficult, to read the whitening on the black background. I went good. Just good. Let's let the eyes have to actually squint a little bit.
Yeah.
Just reverse it, because it's just the whole thing with positive and negative with me, man. It's all about negatives. It's all about taking a positive
so
and putting it onto a negative, and then putting that back onto a positive. I love that. It's photographic all the way.
Mm.
This is the kind of stuff. This section here, let's come back here for a second. Just go back one page. This cruise section here, this is my chisel, where it's just boom. And that was another thing of simplify these titles. And she came up with this font, which I loved.
Mm.
It was just what it is. It's nothing, it's not too b-boy-y.
No, it's a really nice font,
I
actually.
didn't want it all to be too streety. Oh, I'm just scratching the mic. Excuse me if everyone got a little bit of frizzle there. So yeah, this section here I really, very love, because it really is my style of photography. It's quite early on, and when I was using a bit of Hasselblad as well. I do love to play around with different films and formats. Moments like that with the great salt and pepper. But again, we've always done a bit with the negatives and stuff. And I was like, I just want to strip there. And she goes, no. I goes, well, just put it there. Just put one in there. We run it all the way to the edge. Whatever, just put it in there. Just keep it like it's rough and ready. It's an old school thing. I'm in the bathroom. I want to show that I went in the bathroom with salt and pepper and managed to get a shot of them in the mirror without getting seen in the mirror. It was very difficult to do. It was very crammed up. And I kind of think I explained it somewhere. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, I do. I just put it there. And,
how about we get a shot in reverse of you doing your
makeup in the mirror? Yeah. So, you say somebody say something, you think, well, just illustrate it and just show it. These initially, this concept, the way I blew this up, made these and punched them up, was because of when that NFT mad rush came to mind.
Okay.
So I did a collection of NFT, but what I was really doing was I was just doing a collection of highly saturated, really punchy, full frame slides. You know what I mean? And in the end, I thought, blow out NFT. I'm gonna put it back in the book where the paper is. These are the real NFTs right here, and it's not non-fungible at all. This is fungible, and I like that. This is a double page shoot. That's the shot that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Boom, Asher D and Daddy Freddie. And it's great moments like that, and that made it to become an album cover. And it says so much about my, time growing up in Northwest London and in London generally. I mean, honestly, these guys could be my brothers, really, which is roughly the same age, strangely enough. That is actually my brother.
Oh, yeah.
My brother, Casey, Force and Casey, they were really young then. First two guys get signed to a proper record company. This shot here, for example, for anyone who can see this one right now, which I'm sure you can, is actually shot in King's Cross, which of course now is being developed.
What, just on a building site?
Well, they used to have a concrete. This is all a new. What do you call it? Area now, isn't it? What they call it, this whole thing in King's Cross is.
With the building, like the.
But they've got a new Pancras station. That whole new section that they got up there, but that used to be there where they used to make concrete, and I was like, I'm always a Mr. Location man, so I like to go out and find stuff. And so we went down there to do the shoot, and I was imagining
looks like you're in the desert somewhere.
We're in the urban desert, I call that. Got to make stuff happen. You got to have fun with it.
Oh man!
But there's, and that's the balance thing. We can see it happening.
Yeah.
And it's raw to the bone, but very, very pleasing, very high quality.
Beautiful.
And even again, you see the, what's the you've got fibre-based paper, and then you've got resin-coated, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Talking photography. And so there's the resin-coated fill of this paper they've used, and then they've done it again with the spot gloss.
Oh, okay.
You've got to give Mariona props for that three-dimensional bit of graphic with my name.
The design is so nice.
You know what I mean?
Can we see it?
Can we see it? Yeah, you can see it. Oh,
this way.
Oh, you got it up there. I didn't see it. Oh, my goodness me. That's why you keep looking up here. That's why we go like that. And there you go. And I'm sort of spoiling the graphics. Yeah, superb. I mean, I don't know where to go, what else to say. I mean, there must be something else I've missed on it.
I mean, I guess...
okay, the emotional stress you want to know about?
Well, I'd like to actually, on a sort of final-ish question, is emotional stress... slightly to the side. We know how. A lot put into this book. But what I think what we try and end this on is what advice would you give? What have you learned that you found so valuable in terms of putting a book together? What was the thing that you were just like, something that you would really want to share? Something that you would sort of, any advice?
What I think I learned is that all of the ideas I've had stored up, and all of the things I've done, the way I've done them, that I've maybe not been sure how other people might receive them. So I've kept them in my kind of creative mood bank as my own personal way of, there's just great things that you never show anyone, but you look at them and then you go and do something else. And what I've learned during the book is that because I had such a strong idea of what I did and what I like and what I want to do, that was the best thing that I could share with others that could help that come together. And even if that was, say, for example, you just want to do your own book, i.e. like a zine type thing, before you even go to a zine club, that was all right back in the day. I would call it a portfolio. And I have a lot of portfolios where I would go out and I'd create a mini book. And I was using that mini book to tell the story of what I could do to show to people. And that mini book is actually a book. And that little zine is a scrapbook. But it's not scrap. So we'll just make it a zine instead of a magazine. So it's an abbreviation, but it's a small version of. And I would say to people, take your idea and create it. And don't let anyone else go, oh, you can't do that unless you need money. Well, think, let me find out a way of how I can do it without money. I can only go so far. So maybe I need to get someone who might be able to help me get a book printed in some way. So who do I know who does printing? We have to communicate. And I always say communicate what you're about honestly and don't be scared. And I am saying I've never been scared. I'm a very confident guy. And I know a lot of people are much less confident than me. But my thing is you have to believe in yourself and trust your gut feeling and just go for it. And that's what I learned. Because when I went for it, when I said what I wanted in the book, and I was like, oh my God, I don't ask for that. Thinking about putting gold on it because it's golden shutter. And I mentioned it and I found out very quickly, gold leafing, that is mad expensive. And then, is it going to be Virgin on tacky? Is it where you're coming from? And I thought, you know what? Thank you for telling me about it. In the end, I got black on black, gloss on, I got something more suitable for me. So I sign it in gold. Whatever. But
I think that's what's nice about this is it doesn't feel, it's not like a hip hop book in the sense of like it's not like a graph title and that's kind of sort of stuff that sort of fits in. It really feels like a very considered, well designed book.
Thank you.
And it's really lovely.
And that's what my advice would be is consider yourself well and design yourself with 100% as you present yourself out to the world. Because I'm seeing some amazing books. I saw a book recently and it's quite a popular thing on a level. I think I saw a couple down here with some students, degree students, shut me down before my book came out. I was like, oh my God. Sewing the binder, having a cloth cover. Why not? Why not? I mean, I've always been mad for printing on different fabrics. I love the idea. And sometimes, I've got a printer, unlike your printer here. So I've knackered it now. And I just shove anything through it, see what it can print on.
Man, that's what I love about you, because it's sort of like...
See what, and then there are different inks you can buy. I didn't realise there were other inks. And then you put something in that doesn't soak up certain inks. But guess what? I love the way it's blurred. How do I keep it from, spray it with some fixed, boom. But no, go further, because then when you reproduce that or rush it and scan it and put it in a book, it's 3D. You can nearly smell the ink off of the, build it up. Don't be shy. Don't hold back. And I think the crazier your idea is, the more interesting it is. And
it's you have such a, I think looking at those like Xerox prints and stuff that you were doing, it's all, you've got such like a raw history kind of, which I didn't really know about, in kind of a DIY culture, really. It's kind of like playing with different processes, using what you could afford, just making with
what you can get your hands on, what's around you. I mean, the one I painted purple and stuff, I had a matchstick. So I was getting a matchstick. I was like, that's not painting well. So I got the Humbrol paint out, red, blood red, from my Airfix models days. And I was like, I'll get some blood on it. Get some blood. How am I going to get it? Because he's got the sword up in the shop. So I've got I've got the matchstick, and I've just stood back over the print, and I've just gone once.
Yeah.
It looks amazing on the print. Mum's carpet, cupboard, the wall. Oh God! But guess what? I wiped it up as quickly as possible. Didn't realise it was going to spread the gloss paint into the carpet.
Okay.
Got a rug, put that on top of there, and I was just admitted to it now. But I come good. Dedicated the book to my mum, and those little bits of things. Oh, I'm going to get told off. What for? It's not even damaging anything.
Yeah.
Go for it. Next time, I've learned, do it in the right environment. Thanks to Museum of Review Culture, I was much able to spread out, find the right space. But I would say to people, just be brave and go for it. And less is more.
Yeah.
I learned that less is more. And I've seen some books that are incredible because you open the cover up and there's nothing there. There's one word. You turn it over. There's nothing there, and there's a picture. You turn it over, and there's a picture, and there's all these white pages that have nothing on them. It's powerful as hell. That's okay. It doesn't have to be full up.
Yeah.
In fact, there are some great things that I think people have forgotten about, and something I'd like to do one day. We used to do these things in school when we were bored, and we would just get one of the exercise books, and in the bottom right hand corner or the top right hand corner, you'd start with your little stick man.
Okay. Yeah. And then you flick through it.
Little animated flick books where the stick man was moving. Come on, people. Let's get the pack of cards out. 52 card pick up. Throw them in the air and see which ones land face up.
Yeah. Oh man, so good. Great advice. Thanks, man.
Photobook Cafe behind the book. What a vibe! Absolutely love it.
The book's still available?
Absolutely, non-stop.
Where can they get it from?
Well, thankfully, I was down at the Photographers Gallery just yesterday.
Yep.
And they still had 3 copies, 2 signed, 1 unsigned. Tate have still got some copies.
Okay. Can they buy directly from you?
No, I don't, but you can buy directly from the publishers, which is ACC Arts Books.
Cool.
They have all the contacts with various book outlets and Amazon. Because there are quite a few. I'll be honest with you, in the last 3 months, the book is getting picked up worldwide. If you went online, choose your spot. Whoever, W.H. Smith, Waterstones, I don't care who you like buying books from, but if you go to them, they all source and direct it right back to you.
Yeah.
It all comes back to me in the long run because I just want people to have this book.
Yes. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Normski,
more.
the man with the golden shirt.
Pew!